in the cosmic light of the Christ. I, Jesus, stand in the midst of the tumult of the earth to bring peace, to establish once again a current of love and the truth of cosmic law that would ride upon that wave of love, to soften perhaps that blow when it reaches a life stream not yet ready to accept the truth. A truth that their own God presence lives by. A truth that every Christ that has come before them have had to imbue and adopt as an understanding of the law of life that no one in embodiment can forever shirk the responsibility to draw to themselves and become masterful of that law. Yes, blessed ones, to hold peace in your life requires a certain alignment with the law of life of your own God presence. For without the hands, the arms, the rays of light that would swaddle you in the garment of light of your own Christhood, all of the riptides and human thought and feeling abounding in the world will tear away at the very fabric of your identity, causing you to doubt yourself, adopt fear, human questioning, and all manner of confusion that would confound and keep you from gravitating to the inner wisdom of the heart, the divine nature established by your own God presence, so that you would have enough illumination to have Christ's discernment in the affairs of your life. All about you is human turmoil of one sort or another. There are many that cry out in pain and suffering, not because of the mortality of their outer physical vehicle, but because of the separation with their own God presence, from their own God presence. For yes, blessed hearts, when there is a duality that is fostered within a life stream incarnate, it breeds contempt of even the hand of God that would stretch forth and entreat that outer vehicle to be bathed in the light, to be healed, to be comforted, to be loved. And when you, as a son or daughter of God, make a conscious election to turn away from the face of what is right before you, that presence of God, announcing to you, I am here. I am ready. Are you? And that one, hearing that voice, that command of the mighty I am presence, turns away. How long do you suppose it will take for your God presence to come again in that still small voice? Perhaps 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 times you will be approached. But there will come that time when your own God presence will say, okay, I will not tarry any longer with a rebellious nature that refuses the assistance and the hand that I stretch forth, the ray of light that I would give them into their keeping, to clear away all of the ills of the physical plane so that they might begin to live a more devout and holy life under the canopy of the presence of their holy Christ identity in God. My coming into embodiment, as you have heard rehearsed this very day, was so that you, each one that is incarnate in the earth, that has the threefold flame burning upon the altar of their heart, would adopt the conscious awareness that you too could strive, could learn, could be God victorious, could have your day of giving and sacrificing of your own presence blood of light as the ruby fire of the heart, that you could maintain a constant stream of illumination from the mind of God as wisdom's ray, that you could have the rod of power readied by the flow of the will of God into your life. And even more, blessed hearts, the abiding presence, always ready to meet every call, every need, every sacrifice, every responsibility, so that as these are born within the outer identity of God, your own God presence, you would have all that is required to take authority over your life. You would have the constancy of your devotions that would allow that authority to be maintained and carried forth through all of your days. And the glory of God would be upon you. Many who practice the Christian religion in these days read in the Holy Bible the footsteps that I took, the initiations that I went through, the words that I dictated and are reported in the Gospels. The climate and the times are well rehearsed through history, for there is much recorded of that era. So why then do you suppose that the message has been lost for many? They still do not understand that it is the I am that I am, that they, blessed hearts, as they are to call upon, that they have the body consciousness of God close at hand at all times, and are to internalize that body, that there is the mind of God waiting as that Holy Christ presence to impart to them each day what is the truth, the vibration, the action, the divine direction that must be carried out. What are those things surrounding the incarnate life stream that must be shunned? Where must the cosmic calls of Christ's command be drawn to expose, to transmute, to annihilate as an energy that has been desecrated at the hand of sons and daughters of God, ill-equipped, ill-prepared, and yes, ignorant of the truth that they are to embody. When the Christ upholds the virtues that they are intended to bring to the fore, and through, that life stream understands the first commandment is that thou shalt have no other God before me. They will begin to turn their gaze to the presence of God. All other practices and disciplines will fall into their rightful order when the presence of God is honored. Therefore, you will know that I, the ascended Master Jesus, as a world teacher, desire to teach you how to be a Christ, how to be an ascended Master, and what are those requirements that you must pass through as initiation, as cycles of learning, so that you are honing your vehicles to be able to touch the flame of God. Have that flame of God expand as necessary, contract by design, accelerate, decelerate the vibration. Allow for the fullness of all of the outer senses to be refined, so that they are then working with those refined senses of the finer bodies. The crassness of the world will be of nothing to you, for you will have learned how to seal out that world. But all the while you are in that world, not hiding behind some rock for fear that you will be discovered or your light will shine. You will walk in the midst of all of the tumults, for the light of God will be upon you. It will transmute on the touch of any negativity that does not resonate with the Christ light of your holy Christ presence. You will have keen vision and know exactly where you are going, what you are to accomplish. And yes, blessed hearts, how to accomplish the task. It is a threefold process, for it is not enough merely to know the divine plan. It is not enough to even know the direction, albeit there will be times when you will have to move on faith and hope of all hope, staying receptive to the presence of God so that you will be at the appointed place in time and space to receive the next direction that will tell you what it is that you are to do. And then ultimately, the third part, how you will accomplish it. Each one of those steps are all important. But when you study the embodiments of the ascended masters, when you rehearse the words that I stated in my last embodiment, as recorded in the Gospels, when you understand how I was speaking directly in accordance with cosmic law that is released from ascended master councils in your midst from this altar, you will have all that you require to take up your staff, to hold your shield before you, to allow for the fullness of your crown to be infused with the fire of illumination's flame. And as your heart is pouring forth the rays of God love from your mighty I Am presence, can you not begin to appreciate how undaunting that life can be? You blessed hearts will be filled with every vestige required to meet the new day, to put on that garment each day, and understand that yes, there may be those days when you are not quite up to the task and you wonder, where will my strength come from, O Lord? And how long will I tarry in this state of being? And as quickly as you utter the words, or it passes the screen of your thought, your presence has already responded and says, here I am the Lord thy God. And together we, as one vehicle of consciousness, will fulfill your fiery destiny while incarnated. Blessed ones, the hand of God is close at work in your life. Many of you see the signs daily. You witness to them. You have recorded them in your journals, journals which you rehearse over and over to remind the outer vehicles when they become sluggish, when they need a fresh infusion of the fire of God, when they must have a greater impetus of their own Holy Christ presence, wrapping them in this swaddling garment, not unlike in infancy, so that they might have the warmth, the comfort, as described to you in the previous releases. Throughout this conclave, your attention has been drawn to many of the areas of life that you should transmute, that you should strive mightily with all that is within you to transmute and to change, calling forth the divine intercession of the archangels and archai, of the ascended and cosmic beings, of all of the forces of heaven. Should you have not cleared away enough of the debris that would stand between you and your presence and the clarity of perception of what it is that your presence can do for you? Ultimately, when you stay the course, you will revel in the glorious gratitude and joy that you indeed stayed the course, that you indeed held on, even in the face of all manner of onslaught. I know what it means to face a mortality of the outer vehicles. and be required to hold fast to the thread of contact with the mighty I Am Presence, to allow the will of God to have its day, to understand there is a greater mission afoot than the inconveniences that may nag at your consciousness from day to day, or the illnesses that may plague the physical body, or the emotional turmoil that oft times racks one in a state of immovability that then brings on stagnation and a loss of vibration. I understand how an incarnation can bring about all manner of ills. But when you begin to really know that your mighty I Am Presence is the source of your life, that these vehicles of consciousness that you wear were given birth to by that presence, that you have the opportunity to make the free will election to be the Christ, to stand in the light of God, to absorb the God consciousness that has been prepared for you by your mighty I Am Presence, and to put into the flame all that reports to you a vibration that is not in keeping with that Christhood. When you begin to understand this, it will be a new day. And yes, as your Christian brothers and sisters on the path have announced, you will be reborn. For there will be new life take hold in these outer vehicles. You will have clarity. You will have an inner core strength that can only come when there is the will of God establishing, increment by increment, the manifestation of a rod of power that you will carry. You will have a heart that is so filled with love for God that you will wonder how you were ever hungry for love and thought surely you were not worthy to be loved. And as you put on this glorious garment of light, the wedding garment, trimming your lamps, as the establishing of the chakras spinning at the right vibration to knit into alignment each of your vehicles of consciousness with the heart of your mighty I Am Presence, you will effortlessly move into transfiguration and the ascension when called. How glorious a day! There are many past occasions when I have rehearsed what it was like to go through the resurrection, transfiguration, and ascension. Each one will have their own story to tell. For the record is always slightly different, though the action is still a requirement on the path to ascend. Just like the thoughts that you have may seem to be identical with another, but not so. The energy associated with those thoughts will be different. This is why, blessed hearts, you must document the record of your own Christhood, if for no other eyes save your own. The light of God is unique and wholly individual. For your mighty I Am presence is the individuality of God. When you bring to the fore that uniqueness, that keynote vibration of your own God presence, when you establish a momentum in your life that allows you to be the hands, the feet, the consciousness of the mighty I Am, then, blessed ones, it matters not the prattling of all the noises about you that rag on for hours of their ills and discontent. What is that to you? You know the presence of God, for you have been in the midst of that presence. You have heard the words from a presence of God in an ascended and cosmic being. You have established practices within your own life that allow you to maintain holy communion with that vibration and that presence of God. And thus, when you are approached with astral substance, with psychism, with all manner of degradation toward God, it does not have to be considered in your mind as to what you will do or how you will approach the situation. The very Christ command is released from your own heart flame, if not audibly, most assuredly, silently, and ratified by your own God presence. And that energy is banished on the instant. You are sealed in the light of God. You have your shield of protection of the truth of cosmic law and the rod of power from your own God presence. You have the Christ discrimination that has shown you that vibration. And therefore, having refined these vehicles that you wear to be the vehicle of the mighty I Am presence, there is nothing upon the earth that, if called by your presence to accomplish, is not within the ability to complete. For you, with your presence, is the victory. Having found the path that you will trek to the mountaintop experience with the presence of God, your own mighty I Am, is the victory. When you understand that you just need to hold on for dear life, for that is the requirement for some, then, blessed hearts, you will reach the top. You will have the crowning glory. And you, with the ascended masters and hierarchy of light, will look back and recount the victories of your life. You will see those wise in the road, and there are many, that you have had to discern, okay, which way to go, right, left, up, down. And what will I do when I get there? So this action of the Trinity, of the divine direction, the wherewithal to recognize what it is that you are to accomplish, and then the talent to fulfill that divine direction. All comes oft times within a blink of an eye, while for others it may be stretched out over years. But it matters not the time, for you had the connection with the heart of God. You had the fire upon your own heart that allowed you to keep striving. Yes, blessed ones, we use that word a lot in the ascended octaves as it relates to the students of the light, the sons and daughters of God in incarnation. For it requires a great deal of striving to fulfill day-to-day life, let alone the ascension. Perhaps there are those that only know of the recorded 3 years of my mission before I was prepared for the ascension. But all that led up to that, including many embodiments before, many days, as David on the hillside crying out, "How long, O Lord?" Yes, blessed hearts, I too had my days of not knowing, not having the whole of the mission, not seeing myself at that point, standing in the ascended octaves, addressing you this very day. But nonetheless it came, step by step, just as the trek of the mountain climber in all manner of climbs, searching for that thread of contact. And then once it is found, once it is recognized, once it is begun to be internalized, it is a rock to hold on to. And it is the rock that establishes the victory for that life stream. Blessed hearts, the day will come when you will remember the beginning of your heart's hunger for the light. It might even have occurred as a small child before your outer conscious memory was able to hold on to the thought. Some are born with the impetus upon their own heart flame to be up and doing on the instant. Why convenience me in this baby body? Why hold me back? Let me run, I do not wish to walk. Let me be about the work. I'm sure there are some of you that could hear the stories of your parents and how impatient you might get as a child. As you became a young adult, you began to learn that impatience could oftentimes be misguided. Therefore, you learned how to embody patience, all the while allowing the fire that was the fuel of that earlier impatience to be governed by the Christ command of the heart flame. And the power that you would draw forth in all of your endeavors would be visibly sure to the lookers on. Blessed ones, stay the course, keep the striving. For we expect the golden age for the earth. There will be cycles, some more accelerated than others. Many times there is that in-breath before the exhalation of the fire. But in that in-breath, recognize that it is an opportunity to take stock and to build up the reservoir of light, resource, talent, training, so that when there is that moment, and there will be moments to come in each embodiment, in each life stream, you will be ready. You will have had the training sufficient to be God victorious. And at the point when you perform that last act of mortality in the earth, you will fold your cloth, lay it gently on the bench, and look to the presence of God. Drinking in that presence will allow you to have the courage, the fearlessness, but even more, the God desire to let go of all that has held you tethered to the earth. For at that point, it really would be fruitless to struggle against it, albeit there have been those that have tested that law and discovered that it was mighty uncomfortable, and the presence always won out. So, blessed hearts, I stand before you this day as the ascended Christ Jesus, world teacher, commanding the cosmic Christ command, awake, awake into the individuality of your mighty I Am presence, and fulfill your fiery destiny. For the world awaits all that you are to bring forth, individually and collectively under the canopy of this glorious, august body of torchbearers of the temple. As you come forward this day to receive Holy Communion, let your heart flame be charged with the light that I stream forth through that physical substance, and ultimately have it be the seed that leavens your own Christ identity all the days of your incarnation, to remind you that you are a Christ. You are the light of the world. Let your light so shine before men that there is no denying the presence of God. Come forward and receive the light of God.